Washington. We send the people to Washington. We tell them what to do when they get there. Do they actually?
The answer would be no.
No. Come on, stop it. Do you know how hard both parties want Doge to fail because they don't want all the wasteful spending in government to go away because it benefits both parties, guys. You don't wind up $36 trillion in debt because one political party has a spending problem.
Tell it like it is.
I mean, I'm just being fair. I'm a big fan of Donald Trump's policies, but he expanded the national debt massively during his first time in office.
This guy will say anything.
I'm telling you the truth. That's what it is, but understand. Fine. He might want to trim it now, and that's a good priority. I think it's good, and I want him to pull it off. Does anybody else want him to pull it off? No. God, no, because they all benefit from the spending. But when you talk about, and it's so funny that it's as reactionary as it is. Okay. I'm going to play you this clip. Okay. It is a clip of AOC. I'm going to play you one AOC clip.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No! No!
Listen, I got to do it. Okay. But this shows you how transactional and stupid it is. So yesterday began with everybody telling you the market was finished. We don't have any money. We're never going to get ahead. Holy hell, what happened? By the end of the show yesterday, we had CNBC saying, oh my God, the market's going up so high, we can't even keep up with it. Okay, and as that's happening, okay, we wind up in this situation where the Democrat reaction goes from he's tanking the market on purpose, he's going to kill us, to, oh, by the way, this is insider trading. Listen to this Kelly Evans clip on CNBC, clip 27.
Are the numbers I'm seeing on my screen correct here for the Dow? Are we up 840 points right now? Dana, I'm watching this literally glitching in gap. We're up 900 points. This is, yeah, okay. There, wow. Our charts can't even keep up with how quickly these numerical moves are happening.
Okay, and those same numerical moves are going to happen again when they make a deal with China down the road. They're going to happen again when they make a deal with Japan. They're going to happen again when they make a deal with Vietnam, okay? Everybody knows the market's coming back up. The people who play the market professionally drove that spike up yesterday, 3,000 points, and then they sold it all. Why? Because now the market went back down. And people pull money out of 401ks who don't know any better, listen to the gloom and doom on the TV, and then what do the sharps do? They buy the dip. The market goes back up when these trade deals get passed, and these folks get paid.
Money, 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 money.
But anyway, yesterday, which began with, oh my God, we're all going to die, ended with, oh my God, we're making so much money right now in the stock market that the Democrats were now accusing Donald Trump of insider trading. Here it is, clip 30.
Trump seems to be doing, from tweeting people to buy stock and then later announcing his development on taxes. If people are pissed about insider trading here at the House, look at what's happening at the White House right now and with the Republican Party.
Do you think he knew what he was doing when he sent out that message about stocks before he made the announcement?
It sure seemed like he did. I don't think that it was a coincidence.
I mean,
AOC is a dope.
But insider trading really is, you have information nobody else has specific to one particular product. But never mind, Trump didn't keep it a secret. Trump announced to the world as he was trying to cheer on the economy. But here's the rest of her take, clip 31.
I don't think that Trump just coincidentally said buy stocks and then shortly later made an announcement that dramatically inflated and dramatically raised a lot of these asset prices. And, I've heard murmurings on the floor that there may have been people that knew that this was coming. And I'm very interested in seeing some of the stock disclosures that come out when those reports are due. And I'm very interested in what members of Congress have been buying and trading stocks in the last 24 hours prior to this tariff announcement.
You don't have a clue.
She's an idiot. But isn't it so rich to hear members of Congress lecturing you about insider trading? The members of Congress make $170,000 a year. By all accounts, a fantastic salary. But they somehow have $10 million, $20 million, $30 million in the bank somehow.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
Okay. They have access to all all of the legislation they're going to pass that's going to directly affect markets and products is stuff that they act on, whether it's in their own portfolio or through proxies. The congressional trading record, like if you look at the Pelosi's alone, they're making more money than God off the stock market. And you can't be that good that you just hit every time, but you can be if you know what's coming next. So this is the classic example of a Democrat accusing a Republican of what they themselves are doing. Okay, you know the whole Saul Alinsky rules for radicals? I can't believe I'm even saying it out loud. Do you know how many times I've heard Levin say that? The great one, Mark Levin, when I'm driving a taxi, I'm coming home from a double shift, and he'd be on 6 p.m. Saul Alinsky, rules for radicals. And I love Levin. I think he's great. That's just my impression. It's not great. It's not bad, though. But it's funny to be the guy quoting that to you after consuming that from him for probably 10 years of my adult life. But probably if you really want to talk about just rampant stupidity. Okay, Joy Behar is on The View. And here's her take on it yesterday. Before the market goes to the moon, yesterday she tells us that Trump is actually tanking the economy on purpose so he can declare martial law.
Some of these women, they're so stupid.
And if you don't believe him, listen to clip 32.
Today on Truth Social, Trump wrote, a great time to buy. The other theory is from James Carville, which I think is interesting, that he wants to stoke such instability and chaos to consolidate power for himself so that people start to really go nuts, which we're starting to.
No, we're not.
Well, people are starting to get mad.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
You want them to get mad.
But how mad will people get, and how broke will people get, and how many jobs will be lost? And then he can say, well, there's too much chaos, and now we're going to have martial law in this country, and he becomes a dictator.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
I actually, and forgive me for saying this, but I think one of Whoopi's farts went up the wrong nostril and just poisoned Joy's brain yesterday. Like, they're dumb. These women are weapons grade stupid. Okay, they're ferociously stupid people. And most of the women cheering them on, these gassy middle-aged women, they come into The View and, have a brunch, and then they get in the seats and they fart and they listen to the women voice these outrageous opinions that have no basis in fact, and they fart. And I'm not trying to be funny. One of my friends is a stage manager on The View who had to get transferred to Tamron Hall because she's like, I can't get farted on anymore. It's disgusting. I'm sorry. I'm not happy to say this. I'm not proud of this type of broadcast, but my job is to talk to you about what's going on in the world, and that's what's going on in the world. They're over at The View farting on each other and just yelling insane things. Like Trump's trying to declare martial law so he can be a dictator. Everybody, with your Hitler dictator stuff, the thing about dictators, okay, is they don't wait for the world to give them permission. If you were a dictator and you control the military, as Trump does, you start dictating. Guys, Hitler did not run for office, win, and then kind of cruise through the first term while they called him a Russian asset, lose re-election, and then come back a second term, kind of mellow, and then, halfway through be like, that's it, enough golfing, time to do some dictating stuff. Guys, it's all pretend. It's all pretend. Their stupidity is not pretend, it's real, okay? I mean, I've played you the clip of Whoopi Goldberg calling on Jill Biden to be the Surgeon General because she's a phenomenal doctor. It's my favorite thing in the world.
Dr. Jill becomes the Surgeon General. His wife.
Yeah,
Joe Biden's wife, because he would never do it, but she's a hell of a doctor. She's an amazing doctor.
I thought she was a doctor and PhD. Yeah,
I could be wrong.
I think she's a teacher, but.
Oh, I could be wrong? No, you are wrong. Okay? You're wrong every day. That's the point. This is all pretend. It's all performance art. But imagine that you get on TV. They have a few million viewers. People watch The View because it was started under a completely different pretense. It was Barbara Walters. When Barbara Walters, who was a revered journalist and a great friend of Donald Trump's, by the way, which is why he used to be on the show all the time, back when it had an ideological balance. But Barbara Walters actually founded The View as a place where women of all political persuasions could come to converse openly. Right? That's the funniest thing you've ever heard in your life. The View has had 63 guests this year. 63 guests. All 63 of their studio guests have been liberal. So the bad news is for Republicans, they didn't get a single guest on The View so far. The good news is they didn't get a single guest on The View, so none of us have been farted on. Because joining me now is one half of what will soon be Florida's first family, apparently to air out some grievances she has with our 1:30 guest. Erika Donalds is in the house and the crowd goes wild. Hey, girl.
I thought I was here to counsel you.
You leave me alone. I'm beyond I'm a salvage at this point. Like the insurance company's like, oh, we'll scrap it and buy them a new one. No, Jenny, that ship has sailed. Great to see you. I was instructed by our 1:30 guest to say Byron is always right.
He is often right.
He's got a percentage-wise. Do you want to know something you probably don't know? I mean this. Okay, no woman ever wants to be told something about their husband they don't know, but this is interesting. On this show, sometimes in jest at the end of an interview, I'll ask him who to bet on in a sporting event. He is 97% accurate. In maybe the 3 or 4 years I've been interviewing this dude, he wins every game.
Well, that's how he gets his percentages up.
Is that what he does? Oh, he's right in gambling. Okay, but in the other areas, you're not willing to co-sign. That's fine. Couple of things the American people should know. Byron is doing an event this Saturday down there in, I guess, Fort Myers. You're not
Naples.
You're
this
in Naples,
one is
your
Naples.
District. I'm in Fort Myers. You're in Naples.
Yes.
Okay, there you go. But we'll be doing competing events. Well, we're technically rivals right now.
Well, I think that's probably why we had so much trouble selling tickets. They were all going to your event.
Stop it. A lot of them are, though. And I should, if I owe you guys some credit for that, because obviously Byron and you're both a huge deal on this show. We sold so many tickets.
It was a tough choice, I'm sure, for a lot of people, but I think ours is sold out or close to sold out already.
Wow,
too,
all right. So don't make me feel bad.
Yeah,
okay,
I'm
no, that's
kidding.
good. Most of my fans can't pass the background check to get into your event, so don't worry about it.
Could be.
We're not pulling from the same demo, I don't think. I kid. But it's good to have you back in New York. I know you've done 71 hours of TV in the last 24 hours somehow. You have that superpower.
Just a normal week.
But whenever I watch you, whether you're on this show or maybe this morning you're on with Maria, obviously you have an interest in education as a parent, and you have a pretty keen perspective on the importance of education that I don't think is being honestly distilled in our politics. And what I mean by that is, an issue like school choice is a good example. Okay, the Democrats oppose school choice, but I consider it the biggest civil rights moment of our generation, is it not?
It absolutely is. And that's why, I used to spend a lot of time up here in New York. Yeah. I had an office on 46th and 5th. I was in investment management. I was at the top of my career when I made the questionable life decision to run for school board. And discovered how very broken the education system is and how it is not meeting the moment for America to remain competitive in the global stage. And now we're finding that just 1 in 3 students are reading proficiently. Yeah. I have 3 children. Yeah. I would be infuriated if only one of them could read. Yeah. And that is what America is like. So we should be absolutely infuriated at that fact. It is a national crisis. And that is why I left a great career to dedicate my life, my passion, my time, my resources into making sure that not only do every parent have an option that they feel is aligned with their values and what their children need, but that is actually going to set them up for success in achieving the American dream.
Yeah, that matters. We're talking to Erika Donalds, and she has graciously given us a few moments of her media time. You're doing everything. I understand you're flying a blimp after this. There's a lot of action. We were talking about your schedule because what's funny in media? People will always say to me, they'll go, "Hey, when do you sleep, dude?" He's like, I saw you on Fox Friends First at 5 a.m. Then I saw you on Harris Faulkner at 11. Then I saw you on Sean Hannity at 9. When do you sleep? And I was like, yo, dude, when do you sleep?
That's right.
If you've been watching me from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m., I have concerns.
And when do you get off Fox?
Yeah, never if they're smart, Erika Donalds. Come on. Certainly not on Fox News Saturday night. You stop it right now. But we're talking about this issue because, again, to me as a parent, I didn't have a lot of appreciation for the education issue. I did okay in school. Most of my siblings were successful. But it wasn't until I drove a cab in this city for most of my adult life and saw what a disadvantage these kids were at, because a lot of the big teachers unions here have a bunch of priorities. None of them seem to be the kids. That's my bigger concern.
None of which are kids. And that was one of the most glaring things as a school board member, and then later starting charter schools myself, that I found the teachers unions are in the way of getting a great education for children. I mean, we've seen the explosion in non-teaching positions.
Yeah.
Why? Because it means more union members. And that's not where the dollars need to be going. It's why Linda McMahon, Secretary of Education, and President Trump, frankly, have prioritized getting rid of the bureaucracy, getting out of the way, pushing that power down to the states and eventually down to the parents, but to get it away from the unions and the bureaucrats and into where it belongs, in the classrooms with the students, with the teachers, where the needs of those students are best known.
Yeah, thank you. And that matters, and I will tell you this as a parent where it really jumped out at me. This is crazy. When we were 3 minutes, when we were 3 months into remote learning, Lincoln is taking his middle school Spanish. This is crazy. But Lincoln comes into the dining room of my house and asked me what day we celebrate Cinco de Mayo on. I was like, so they're not learning. That's when, to me, it opened up my eyes. And he would come on the radio every Friday and talk about the fact that if there's 35 thumbnails on a screen, it's so much harder for a teacher to connect with them. And the Democrats would have did 2 more years of that if they could have, and there's no way you could tell me that was being done for the kids.
COVID pulled back the curtain on the education system. Parents like you saw what their children were learning, or more importantly, what they were not learning. And unfortunately, the teachers union showed their true colors as well when they were going on vacations and fighting to keep schools closed and calling opening schools racist, when everyone else was going back to work and trying to get our economy back on track. And they didn't want their children to lose time knowing that they were already behind in reading and in math.
Yeah, you were only going to learn so much watching Tiger King. Is
that what your young children were doing during COVID?
It's funny? Lincoln did not watch Tiger King. He was playing Fortnite with everyone else in America. What is so funny is, like, my kid, they were playing so many video games during lockdowns that he didn't even know we'd been off from work for 3 months. He came upstairs one day. He's like, wait, you guys have been here the whole time? They were playing,
But COVID also gave rise to some great education innovations. Like, we opened Optima Academy Online, which is the world's first virtual reality school. So instead of our kids learning with a checkerboard of faces on Zoom, they're actually putting on a VR headset and going to the moon to learn about the lunar landing, or ancient Rome, or constitutional experience at Independence Hall. And there are children whose parents say, you know what, my kids actually learn better when they're at home, when they're able to focus, maybe when they're in virtual reality. And it's an option now for parents that didn't exist before COVID made it a necessity.
Yeah, that matters. But those are the parents that have wisely taken that initiative because they didn't love the other option.
And that's what we need. We need more parents to have the ability to take that initiative. That's why school choice is so important. And even without choice, parents should have the transparency to know how much money is being spent on their child. Like here in New York, $36,000 a student, the most in the nation. Parents should know that's how much money they're spending on the child, and they should be able to make the choice. Yes, I want you to spend that $36,000, or I want to direct it somewhere else because you're not doing a good job.
So if I wake up in America, Erika Donald's in studio. We sound excited because we are. We're pumped up about it. They're emotional in the booth right now. Like when I said your name, they released doves. It was like a whole to-do. The confetti cannon shot off. But if we wake up in a world where Erika Donald's is the first lady of Florida, is education like your signature issue?
Well, it's always been a passion of mine, education and making sure that the children are set up for success. Because for me, I grew up, I had about half a childhood. When my parents got divorced when I was 11, after that, I really didn't have a lot of guidance and oversight in my life. I finally figured it out, made it to college because I didn't want to be poor. So I majored in accounting, got into a career, married a wonderful husband, had a great family. Yeah.
There it is.
And found my way to success through the education system. And so I'm very passionate about ensuring that every Floridian and frankly every American has that same opportunity to succeed and change their statistical trajectory. Same thing for my husband. Education did it for us. That's why it's so important to me that we do this. And frankly, it's a national security issue at this point.
Yeah, we got a lot of dumb people out there. I'm not going to name names, but no, I know.
And they're not going to be able to defend our republic.
No, I know that matters. And it's significant, especially in a global economy, because they're competing with kids that are in nations that have prioritized education in a way we haven't in the last 20 or 30 years.
We haven't. And we haven't celebrated education innovation in the way that we should. Education looks very much the same as it did 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. I believe in traditional education. But I also believe that if we can hold tiny computers in our pockets, then education should be so much more dynamic than it is today. We should have a lot more options for families.
Yeah, that's another good point, is that what we grew up taking was in a weird way, it does resemble a lot of what my son was doing. And that's something I wouldn't have known were it not for the lockdowns, for the remote learning. So we definitely have some innovating to do. All right, let's shift gears really quick. You made so many good points. And I have to Google half of what you say. There's an IQ gap here, like 700 points. I mean, I'm dressed like a NASA astronaut right now. Look at this. You look like you're running a state. I look like I'm running an arcade. Okay? It's the joy of the show. You really get some nice crossover. But when I wasn't celebrating Halloween this morning, pretending I was the next space station astronaut, I was thinking about this interview. And the last time you were here, you gave us, I don't want to call it dirt, but you were telling us Byron is a phenomenal chef. And he's really good at grilling steak and stuff like that. And that was good intel. And it came up the next time he was on the show. So I'm always prepping for my next interview because I have to keep up with you people. That's the point. That is the point. So my question, okay, is Byron recommended a couple of cigar bars in Naples, in his district, that he said were really, really fantastic, first class. Did I accidentally just get him in trouble for telling you he has a preferred cigar bar?
No, of course not.
Okay, good. Gotcha. All
We've
right.
been married for 22 years. We've been together for 25 years.
Yeah, so at this point, you're recommending...
Pretty much.
Yeah, you're recommending strip clubs to this guy. You're like, just get out of the house, Donald. I'm kidding. I know you're kidding.
Never that, but he does enjoy a cigar. In fact, my house is overflowing with cigars.
That's funny.
I don't have anywhere to put them all and all of the accessories that go along with them. It's wonderful. Everyone should have their enjoyment and we have a beautiful porch now. We have a great fire pit. We enjoy
I love
life.
all this. Well, this is why I bring it up. I bring it up because for guys who smoke cigars, like myself, your husband, it's just like it's a ritual. We sit around, we talk, and we're forced to just like not move. You know, we might look at something on our phone, but we're not active. It's kind of like its own decompression thing, and we love to smoke cigars. And I bring this up because I've seen them have a lot of like Republican smoke events and stuff like that, which I think are good when it comes to cigar. But it's only on my mind because on our Saturday night show this week, we're talking about the Democratic Party and how it's a really funny thing. Bernie Sanders doing a town hall yesterday. The question was, why do you think the Democratic Party is losing male voters? But the woman asking the question accused them of misgendering her. She's like, let's go to Grace so-and-so. And she's like, actually, my pronouns are they, them. And then she's like, I have a question. Polling shows that no men are voting for
why could that be?
It's so funny. And what I'm saying is, okay, and this is what I think so much of the conservative position is that people don't get, is we don't actually want to run every aspect of people's life. We just want to let them be. And I think that's the bigger problem.
But also, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Look at the Fox lineup of women, conservative women.
Yeah.
Okay, and then compare it to the women that were asking questions at the Bernie Sanders town hall. Let's just be real. Where do the men want to be?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. But it's much better coming out of your mouth than mine. Hey, would you look at these Fox chicks, Mikey? I mean, you can say it, I can't say it. Mikey says it all the time. We have to mute his mic.
The Trump, administration. Look wherever you want. Conservative women are much more attractive to men than
but you know what else too?
Women.
It's not only the aesthetic advantage that you conservative women have, but it's just also your energy, because you're not here to tell us what's wrong. You're here to tell us what's right, and that matters.
I said we have a positive energy.
That's what I mean.
Because we believe in America. We believe in the future, and we're trying to do something to better it, not always complaining.
That's what I mean.
That's correcting you about our pronouns.
Erika Donalds is here, she, her, to some of you.
Did you see, though, the protesters screaming down my husband?
We played the
Who
clip
wants to be around that?
I know, but she called him a fascist race traitor.
I was there in the background,
were you,
just watching from the sidelines. Like, I don't want any part of this.
People watch that and go like, how do you not cut these people out? I wasn't thinking that. I was actually thinking like, I would have laughed in the face. I was
cracking up.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I'm in the corner just giggling and taking pictures.
You're like, wait, what? There was a show on Nickelodeon back in the day. I think it was Double Dare, and like if you said something wrong, they slimed you. I think those
were my days too. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. But I think there's like a certain level of commentary where we should bring back sliming. And it's just like...
It's a great idea.
If you're on
especially at these protests.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Or if there was a guy on MSNBC the other night, he's like, not black people per se, America voted for Trump because they couldn't vote for a black woman. And I was like, as if
that
every
was
single
ridiculous.
black woman is that Kamala Harris.
But also, speaking of why is the Democrat Party losing?
Yeah.
Because look at that. I'm sure there are Democrats, there are independents that voted for Donald Trump, and now they're being called a racist just because they believe in his policies. They believe in peace through strength. They believe in a stronger American economy. They believe in America first. They believe in closing the border. Oh, you're racist.
Yep.
I mean, if they would just continue to put Tim Walz and Jasmine Crockett and, as their forefront, I think it's a great thing. They should continue to elevate those people and show us exactly who they are.
Amen. Erika Donald's just spitting fire on the mic.
That's all I do.
On her 93rd media hit of the day. She's still got the fastball. Don't pull her yet. I'm sure you got more work to go do. Good to see you.
So good to be here with you. Always.
There you go. She's the host of the Kennedy Saves the World podcast.
I wasn't even booked. I just wandered
in
here.
She just came in.
It's like, do you guys have any ice? Cling, 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 cling.
The Kramer of cable news. Hey, Jerry. Just wanders into your studio. She's appearing at the Mohican Casino in Pennsylvania, right there in Wilkes-Barre, with myself next Saturday, April the 19th. But she is here now. Kennedy in the house to start the hour with me. Hey, girl.
Hey, girl.
So this is funny, and I'm just going to cut right to the chase. Right to the chase.
Do it.
So we're talking about tariffs, everything else. You and I off the air, we're just talking about cars and the urgency of having a car when we were kids. And do you remember, because I told this story in the previous hour, so I just want to get you up to speed. Do you remember if you were a kid in high school, like an underclassman, and you got a car, how much cooler those kids instantaneously became?
Yeah.
Because you had a car. Most people don't have one.
The only thing cooler was the senior with a beard.
Oh, yeah.
Who could buy beer without being carded. That was the only thing that was cooler.
If you could buy underage beer or you could drive, you could go from 0 to like 5 chicks who were suddenly friendly with you. If you had a car.
You were legendary.
Immediately.
Yeah.
I was explaining this to people earlier about the economy. Because we have the biggest economy in the world, it's its own form. You don't pay people to come in the car. If you're a junior in high school, you have a Buick Regal, you're not paying people to ride with you. They might give you gas money, they might jump in. And the point is, we are entitled to certain perks with that big economy because people want to be selling things in our market. Is that a good baseline place to start?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a lot of consumers here.
Yes. And I was playing a clip earlier from CNBC, and what he was talking about was not what everyone else is talking about. Everybody else right now suddenly cares about the stock market. And I know it's a punch in the nuts if you're retiring tomorrow. It's up right now, 398. But by the time this conversation's over, it could be down 250.
Yeah, it was up to 39,000 yesterday.
Yeah, and then it came back down. At the beginning of the show yesterday, it was up 1,300. At the end of the show, it was down like 150. It's volatile.
This stock market is moodier than a 15-year-old girl. Oh my God, Mom, I love you so much. You're amazing. Get out of my room. You're toxic.
That hits home for Mikey, too, if you know anything about his dating profile. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, those Latvian teens.
Every time he walks by the...
Promise them an audition and they'll fly to New York.
I'll get you on Fox Across America. He's got to do it over the internet, because if he walks by the school, the bracelet goes off. Now you got no Mikey. Why do we have a guest producer? I told him not to go by the kickball court. Anyway, we're sitting here. The market is a little volatile, and they're trotting out the Jamie Dimons of the world they're on. But the truth is, and this is what I was trying to convey to the listener, okay, is we're watching there's a lot of performance art here, and that people are trying to portray this as if there's no plan. You could tell me maybe it's an untested theory, but they understand that it originates in the reality that we do get ripped off by certain countries, like China is ripping off everybody.
Yes.
And they're stealing everybody's intellectual copyright, and their IPs and everything in between. And the act of trying to recalibrate is not a bad act on behalf of this country, but it's being portrayed as like some form of economic suicide.
Yes.
And I consider that performance like manufactured hysteria. What say you?
Jim, I think you're absolutely right. I think this is all just posturing. There are only so many does at the LEC. And, the Bucks are going to be locking horns for a little while, but really everybody just wants to make the horizontal mambo. So
I feel like Senator John Kennedy joining us on the show. Woo! He had a good one last night. He was on with Hannity. He was talking about AOC. It was actually worth listening to. Let me find John Kennedy.
Yeah, what did he say? I saw that quote about AOC.
AOC is the reason they put directions on the shampoo bottle. Let's hear it. Clip 33.
I consider Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez to be the leader of the Democratic Party. She's entitled to her opinion. I'm entitled to mine. As I've said about her before, I think she's the reason there are directions on a shampoo bottle. And our plan for dealing with her...
You didn't plan that out. We got to hurry.
Our plan for dealing with her is called Operation Let Her Speak.
She's the reason. They put direction on now. Sadly, because it's a great joke, but he's wrong. The leader of the Democratic Party is clearly Luigi Mangione. Is he not the only guy with grassroots support?
More
Be
so
honest.
than Barack Obama.
Yeah, he's got a lot more
Everything
say.
Barack Obama wants, everyone's like, no, we're good.
Michelle's doing, Michelle is ruining the Michelle podcast with the brother is what's ruining that marriage because the brother is Michelle without a wig. Not that she's wearing a wig.
And by the way, I thought he was a good basketball coach. He has a losing record.
Yeah, he doesn't have a good record.
That's why he's not a basketball coach anymore.
But he looks so much like his sister. Yeah. And once you see a man face on your woman, you can't unsee it.
Yeah, but also that's the reason they have a podcast together.
Yeah.
That would be like Brigitte Macron doing a podcast with her brother. Like, I'm not my brother.
She's just trying to clear up the rumors.
Yeah, come on.
Stop calling me Big Mike. It's Michelle, and it's a podcast, and I'm here to do it.
She's not doing well.
No.
Like the drop off has been... It can only be described as precipitous.
It's so funny because you want to know what it is for real? She's like the Meghan Markle of politics in that nobody wants to hear somebody who's doing really well complain.
Yeah.
And that's most of what her, entree into public discourse is. I felt invisible as a black woman in the White House. I'm like, wait, what? Well, you were on the cover of 17 magazines?
Yeah,
and
no kidding.
You got a $100 million deal from... I would love to be that invisible.
Yeah, and the liberal mainstream media was wrapped for every word that came out of your mouth. Like, oh, Michelle Obama spoke about school lunches. Quick, she needs to be beatified.
Do you know what she could have made selling farts in a jar to the liberal media? Sorry.
She would be a billionaire.
A billionaire.
Yeah.
If Michelle Obama called up MSNBC and said, hey, me and my identical twin brother just had a chili cook-off and I'm getting ready to bottle the results. Who wants to buy a jar?
Yeah.
Certificate of authenticity?
Yeah, Joy Reid would be like...
Forget about
first
it.
in line.
Chris Matthews, all those old people.
Joe Scarborough wouldn't be able to stand up from behind the desk because he'd be pitching a tent worthy of the REI showroom floor.
No, Mika would start wearing it as perfume to get their marriage back. What happened to this conversation?
Yeah.
Kennedy happened. And she's happening all over the stage. April 19th in Mohican, Pennsylvania.
And I'm going to talk about farts in a jar on stage.
If you don't, it's a disservice to the American people. It's a dereliction of duty. What's happening?
That was the worst thing I ever heard.
Guys, I don't know what's happening. The world's on fire. Because this is what it is. We're just having fun, okay? It's all performance art. James Carville, we've had this discussion. Every time they put him on TV, he looks like he just got caught fondling himself in the fitting room of a Bass Pro Shop. Every time.
He looks like a lizard man did the worst impression ever of putting on a human suit.
Yeah, he's not even trying.
Yeah.
You know that old art where they would take like male genitalia and put it in a tuxedo? It looks like they did that with a lizard.
That was Michael Chiklis for the longest time, but yeah.
So here's James Carville saying the actual country, this is an intentional collapse by Trump. Oh. It's actually trying to destroy the country. Like Trump prefers to live in a loincloth in a, here it is, clip 32.
We're in the midst of a collapse. And if you look at the markets, if you look at all across the board, the political collapse, there's fighting, look what happened in Wisconsin, look what's going on with all of the Musk and the craziness. And what I think if he sees himself going down, he's going to try to take the whole country with him.
Absolutely.
He does not understand. He is not loyal to the United States of America. He does not like this country. He criticizes it all the time.
What I don't understand what he's talking about. I mean,
he doesn't understand what he's talking about.
It's like I have to work myself up into the most hysterical state in order to be able to analyze and disseminate what's really going on with the Trump administration. He hates this country. The people are so dumb they voted for a man who hates this country. He wants to blow it up like the Road Runner with a bunch of TNT. I do declare.
Woo! The last time we quoted James Carville on the show, I was reading a New York Times op-ed entitled 3 Reasons I'm Certain Kamala Harris Will Win in a Landslide. That's who this is!
It's science. That's what it is. Kamala Harris is a woman who was sent from the Lord to save the country with a brilliance.
But it's like there's so much. I was telling the audience this earlier. So much of what we do on the other side is like actual like performance art. Like they don't mean this. So there's this one going on.
No, because he says the opposite.
Yeah.
The week before is like, just let Trump speak.
Yep.
That's all you got to do because he just give him enough rope. And then he's going to hang himself. And it'll be like a self-lynching.
But it's true. I was watching this clip last night. I love this one, and it sucks because it's audio, it's not video. We've all covered the MSNBC analyst. I believe it's Eddie Gowd, if I'm pronounced. I don't mean to disrespect his name in any way. His intellect I have no respect for.
No one else has seen his show either.
Yeah, no,
so
thank you.
No one can correct
Amen.
you.
No one can even fact check me on this. But he did the old, and it's so funny if you actually watch the clip, as he's talking about how 78 million Americans chose a felon because they just couldn't bring themselves to elect a black woman. And just at the base level of analysis of that, you are reducing every black woman to one personality. Meaning, anyone paying attention to politics didn't see her as a black woman. They saw her as a dumb woman, maybe a day drunk woman. Okay, a woman who legitimately had flip-flopped in every position she ever took. And remember the Lester Holt sociopathic, we've been to the border, you haven't been to the border.
Yeah.
But he's able to get on TV, and you talk about like to such reductive fashion and try to reduce the actual state of America to we just don't like black women. And what's funny about it is if you watch the video, the sound on television, Nicole Wallace is exhausted. She's like, I thought we weren't doing this anymore. Like you can even see her. This is the kind of guy she would have booked a year.
She's the only one there maybe actually reading the memos from the new boss.
Yeah.
It's like, stop doing this
What
crap.
are you doing, dude?
Yeah, it doesn't play. It doesn't rate.
Listen
it's
to
not
this.
true.
It's actually hilarious for that reason. Listen to this, clip 36.
We chose a felon who is more interested in loyalty, who's more interested in retribution, who's more interested in grift than in democracy. And we chose a felon because we didn't want to elect a black woman. So to read that, to actually explicate that, is to say we would rather destroy the republic than for that to have happened. And until we grapple with it, there's no amount of protesting I could do. There's no amount of resistance that could come into play to actually force 78 million people to grapple with what motivated them to put themselves in this position.
Don't you wish, do you remember the Nickelodeon show where they would slime people on TV?
Double Dare.
Yeah, we should bring this back for cable news. And whenever you do something that's just such contrived horse pucky, as you might say.
Just race baiting hysteria.
Slime them right on TV. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
And then when you watch the SOT, Nicole Wallace is like, what are you doing, man? Wait, are you doing this?
That's it? That's all
Really?
you've got? That abdicates you of any need to try. Like, you don't have to have a policy position. You don't have to have a resume.
No.
You don't have to have any kind of a win. All you have to say, if you ever confront criticism, is, oh, you don't like me because I'm a black woman.
Oh, that's it.
Like, you never, ever have to try.
And you know what?
And people have seen through that. There are black voters who have seen that.
Yep.
There are women who've seen through that.
Mhm.
There are Hispanics. There are low-income voters. People who have all been traditionally Democrat saw through that. And they looked at her and went, she's not enough.
Yeah.
Aside from her race and gender, which are actually the only two cool things about her.
That's all she got.
The rest of it, there was not enough there.
And it wasn't white people calling her out. Listen to this, black gentleman.
We've been to the border. So this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I mean, I don't understand the point that you're making.
What's the point?
Kamala is so stupid.
I mean, what are we doing here? And the idea that it was like...
Poor Lester Holt. He didn't want to do that.
Oh, he did not want to do that. You're right.
Like, why are you making me shoot fish in a barrel? Why are you making this so easy?
Yeah.
Help me help you.
I am bumper bowling, and you threw it into the next lane and got a gutter shot. What are you doing to me? I rented shoes for this woman. And she still threw a gutter. And that's the point. And it's like, so much of what we're watching, whether it's Eddie Gaudier, you know, that's that whole stupid thing, or James Carville, the Honorable James Carville.
Yes.
But it's all, and the stock market's up 1,400 points right now on the news that you're going to do a James Carville impersonation in Pennsylvania.
If you're looking for the savior of the nation, look no further than fartsinAjar.com.
Kennedy, everybody!
Get her out. Get her out of here.